Is there an even more impressive amphitheater as the one in Rome in North Africa?
I am the passenger, and I ride.
There are some 230 amphitheaters left, scattered around what once was the Roman Empire, which at its height spread from North Africa all the way to Great Britain. The most famous of these amphitheaters, often referred to as the Colosseum, is in Rome. But is there an even more impressive amphitheater, or at least as impressive as the one in Rome in North Africa? I'm world proven and I'm out to prove. Is the African Colosseum as good or better than the Colosseum in Rome? I'll see you in North Africa. I've been to Rome many times, each time visiting the Great Colosseum. This will be my first trip to see the African Colosseum. To find the African Colosseum, I'll need to travel to the city of El Jem in northeastern Tunisia. The city is built around the amphitheater, with the Roman relic residing in the center. Looking at the specs of the Colosseum in Rome, it held an amazing 50 to 80,000 spectators. That's about the capacity of Maracana Stadium in Brazil. It is elliptical in plan and is 189 meters long and 156 meters wide, with a base area of 24,000 square meters. The height of the outer wall is about 48 meters. Looking at the specs of the African Colosseum, it held a respectable maximum capacity of 35,000, about the capacity of Wimbledon for reference. The amphitheater is about 148 meters long and 122 meters wide, with a base area of about 18,000 square meters. But sheer size and capacity isn't everything. So let's talk about some of the other comparisons of the two. Both have intact hypogea, or underground tunnels where the animals and gladiators would have been, a largely intact arena and seating, along with an impressively preserved exterior. Here in Riyadh International Airport, got a flight to Tunis, see the African Colosseum. I do have the world's worst flight, so I fly at 8 p.m. to Rome, and from Riyadh to Rome it's 6 hours and a half. So I get into Rome around 12:50 a.m. and then I sleep at Rome Airport, which should be nice and cozy. And then I have a flight 10:20 to Tunis. Tunis to Rome is super easy flight, hour and 15 minutes I think. So we'll get into Tunis around 11:20. Plenty of time to explore with the rest of the day. So we're on our way to the African Colosseum. So I'm in Rome Airport, Da Vinci, and I slept there last night. That was cozy. A little bit of a hiccup this morning. My 10 a.m. flight was canceled with Tunis Air. So they were actually kind of nice about it. They rescheduled a flight today at 4:50 on ITA. I think that's Italian Airways. So that was nice. Still direct flight. I'll get into Tunis around 6:05, 6:15, something like that. So not a lot of time to explore tonight, but I'll get out anyways. But tomorrow, busy day. So I'm at El Jem, the African Colosseum, the largest Colosseum outside of Italy by far. And it does visually look much smaller than the Colosseum in Rome. I've been to the Colosseum in Rome many times, and this doesn't have the imposing figure that the Roman Colosseum has in Rome, but it is impressive. So, looking forward to going inside. Let's go inside. They refer to this as the Colosseum locally, and the reason is because it was built to replicate the Colosseum in Rome. And they used sandstone when they were constructing it because sandstone is very easy to cut, but it's not very strong. So the width of the walls had to be very wide. They can't be made thin because sandstone, again, not the strongest material, but it's a pretty impressive height and it's a pretty impressive width. An interesting thing about El Jem, or the Colosseum, is American soldiers used this as a fort during World War II, and you can see bullet holes where the Germans shot at the American soldiers inside. I'm sure it's super hard to pick up on film, but there's bullet holes all on the side of El Jem, and it's from World War II when the Americans used this as a fort and the Germans were shooting in. So I'm underneath El Jem now, and these were the cells where wild animals were kept. So there would have been bars down here, and they could open the doors, and the wild animals could find their way to the Colosseum floor. So there's a lot of these cells here. This is another cell here. So this would have all housed wild animals. The gladiators themselves would have lived in nearby dorms, so they wouldn't have lived here, but they also could have been lifted up to the Colosseum floor from the ground below. This here is actually to collect water, because El Jem is in Africa, there's not as much water, so the city would have used this to collect rainwater. El Jem has a capacity of about 35,000, which is pretty huge. The population of El Jem during Roman times would have been about 20,000, so that's bigger than the city, but Roman roads would have connected El Jem to a lot of important cities, so these games would have been very well attended. I'm on the floor of the amphitheater, and this would have actually all been dirt. The reason is it's harder for animals to get footing in dirt, so it kind of disabled them a little bit from killing too many of the gladiators. Also, there would have been marble. There's some here all along the sides, so this marble would have went all the way up. And the reason is animals couldn't crawl up and eat the crowd. It's Africa, so most of the combat was between wild animals and gladiators, because there's no shortage of wild animals in Africa, but there is a shortage of gladiators. So most of the fights at El Jem would have been gladiators versus wild animals. This area here is the best preserved view of El Jem. While the Colosseum in Rome beats out the African Colosseum in every spec, in my opinion, it also beats out El Jem in every other category. The level of preserve, the care in construction, and just overall impressiveness of the theater. In simple terms, it just doesn't feel as mighty as the Roman Colosseum. The Roman Empire would not have built anything more impressive outside the city of Rome, so really El Jem never had a chance. However, for an amphitheater outside of the city of Rome, it would be hard to beat the amphitheater of El Jem. As far as I'm concerned, this one is proven. The African Colosseum does not compare to that one in Rome. However, it is a towering monument not to be missed.